Greetings, beloved immortals, spiritual immortals, living today as the 8 billion plus members of the human race across the outer surface of the ancient, sacred, living, mystical, bountiful landmass of the earth goddess, Lady Gaia, today. My name is Commander Andragon. I am the husband and senior disciple of Avatar Galextra, who is the human incarnation of the great goddess, living today as the female messiah amongst the human race. Today, I am here to share information with you on the Liberating Truths movement about the most ruthless, divisive, combative, dishonorable human being who has ever held the office of the American president, who is known by you as Donald John Trump. On this broadcast of the Liberating Truth movement, I'm here to speak about the futuristic weapon technology being used by Donald John Trump to attack and terrorize the human body of Avatar Galextra for a number of decades now, inside every place we've called home in Southern Ontario, where myself, the Avatar, our daughter, and our son have lived as a family for about 3 decades or more. There is a technology on this planet today that has vast fourth dimension capabilities that allows its user to create cloaks of invisibility and provides them with the capability to move through the fourth dimension unseen, looking like shadows as they flash through the fourth dimension into any place or space amongst the human being or any members of life, and commit any kind of crime that they choose to do without anyone living in that house, working in that office, place of worship, recreation areas, on the streets, inside a vehicle, inside a plane. Anyone who is being violated by these unseen human beings wearing what we've come to call, the Avatar and myself, cloaks of invisibility, are unable to identify these unseen criminals committing crimes against them. This technology is invasive, intrusive, and evasive, because it was that technology that was created an eternity ago by the great goddess herself as a futuristic healing device to restore, center, balance, stabilize the body of any being of any life form. This technology was given to two men of science from the Avatar's birth country shortly before the end of World War II. For them to use, it was given to them telepathically by some of Avatar Galextra's brother gods, given to them telepathically to use to help to protect the life of the Earth Goddess, the being that human beings have known as Mother Earth and Mother Nature. She is known to me and to a number of other members of the coalition of gods and goddesses as Lady Gaia. This technology was used by these two men of science to help to prevent, to stabilize Lady Gaia's ancient living and planet-sized body as it was starting to wobble on its axis. By the 6 years of relentless bombings and attacks across the landmass by the 39 different nations who fought in what came to be known as the War to End All Wars, World War II. The Allies, as they've been called, who fought the axis of evil, including the nation of Adolf Hitler, the Nazi Germany, Japan, and Italy, Mussolini. These two scientists used this technology to help to keep Lady Gaia's body from wobbling and hurtling off the axis, the invisible axis that her body sits on as she spins rapidly. How fast? It's in your records. And create the different seasons and days and changes you see around the landmass of the 200 or more nations currently established on the outer surface of the Earth Goddess. This technology was stolen from these two men of science by American CIA agents who murdered these two scientists from the Avatar's birth country of Trinidad and Tobago, took this stolen technology, brought it to the American military, and they put it inside their Black Ops programs, classified it at the highest level of classification, and have been using it for a number of decades now as a secret weapon to attack, to commit many crimes against human beings, against different nations, against Mother Gaia herself, and against the other communities of beings living across our landmass who are not members of the human race, such as the tree beings, the tree people. Lady Gaia calls them the standing ones, the ones who supply you with your oxygen, to give you the ability to breathe every time you wake up or go to sleep. You breathe in the oxygen given to you by the standing ones, the trees. And these standing ones have been decimated for a number of centuries now by human beings who have cleared a lot of the forest, as you call it, to build different types of things like housing and farms and other creations that human beings have come to call things that they need to survive and thrive. This technology was placed in the hands of Donald Admit Nothing and Deny Everything Trump by the lady known as Nancy Pelosi. the current Speaker of the House, according to information given to me by some of the members of the Coalition of Gods and Goddesses. Donald Antichrist Trump has been using this technology as a weapon to attack Avatar Galextra for a number of decades now, from the time she was living in the United States to when she came to Canada in 1975, where we connected and met and formed a sacred union and have been living together as husband and wife for 1975. We were married by the Coalition of Goddesses and Gods one day in Saddle Park in Toronto as we stood under the moonlight, and they performed the sacred matrimony for two members of their own coalitions. So the Avatar Galextra, my beloved, beautiful, magnetic, radiant wife, and my extraordinary spiritual teacher, has been the target of a relentless terrorization by those who have been using this technology as a weapon to attack the great goddess the very day that she came to this planet as a member of the human race in the form of the body, the human body of a baby girl known as Avatar Selma, the Protector Pole. The day she was born, an unseen criminal came into the maternity ward of the hospital that she was staying inside of with her mother in the port of Spain in Trinidad and Tobago, the twin tropical island with the three peaks. And he moved over to where she was laying inside a cradle, close to where her mother, the Lady Yvonne, was resting peacefully after giving birth to a fifth child. And he went up to this newborn baby who was whose body was owned by the great goddess, and he placed his left hand over the mouth of this infant goddess, and with intention of suffocating and starving her to death. One of her sister goddesses, the moment he did so, told the Avatar, hold your breath and play dead. And this baby goddess hold her breath for so long and for so well that this unseen American assassin was convinced that he had taken the mortal life of this divine being from her and left them and turned toward, convinced that he had ended the mortal life of. He didn't know the name of this divine being, but he knew that she was a divine being because there was a star of light shining from the center of her forehead, which human beings have come to call the third eye, the mind's eye, the spirit's eye. And there also was a bunch of grapes that was carved onto her right shoulder. These are two evidence of divine cosmic royalty. So Donald J. Trump, fast forward, he has been attacking the Avatar in the United States in different places. Secretly, he has been attacking her since we came together in 1975. We did not become aware of his presence in our home or his presence in our life until we moved to a place. We left Toronto 19. We left Toronto in 2013 to escape the persecution that we were being subjected to as a family by those same assassins working for the American military with the blessings of the Canadian government. So we moved from Toronto with the intention of going to the state to seek asylum as a family, political asylum with myself the avatar, our daughter, Princess Mahogany. Our son was no longer with us at that point. He had been removed from a home when he was 16 years old by a member of his family, used by those who are have been terrorizing this family for decades. So we moved from Toronto one night in a cab to all the way to Fort Erie, with the intention of going across the border within a match of a week or two to seek political asylum. So when we moved across the Peace Bridge one night in a taxi, he dropped us off at the border, and ICE, the Department of Immigration and Customs Enforcement Agency, I guess, took us into custody and then placed me in the Buffalo Federal Detention Facility, and my wife and our daughter an hour away in New Jersey in a station, a prison jail known as Wade County Jail. And for 40 days and 40 nights, we were locked up inside these prison systems until our trial was heard by an immigration judge who decided that we did not have a credible fear of persecution, only a perceived fear of persecution. So they deported us back to Canada after 40 days and 40 nights in the summer, actually on my birthday, August 23rd of 2013. We've been living in this part of this province since that time. We lived in St. Catharines, Ontario from September 2013 for 6 years. It was at that time that we came to find out that someone was intruding and entering our home unseen, and he was identified very shortly afterwards by my wife as Donald John Trump. Now, when he came into her home one night, and he's been coming into her home at Scott Street on a daily, nightly basis, attacking the avatar's body from head to toe. He's been attacking her eyes with shards to dim her eyesight, attacking her hair, cut off most of her hair, attacking her teeth, removed a number of teeth that she had in her mouth, attacking her joints, her rectum, her womb, her back. And he has been attacking the cavities of the brain of the great goddess with a dagger made of white light, plunging it into the cavities of the brain repeatedly for a number of decades, to the point where today the avatar's conscious memory, has been removed from her conscious mind by these attacks done to her by Donald Antichrist Trump. And so the avatar has problems recalling information about her life experiences, have problems sometimes even identifying who we are. Sometimes she doesn't even know I'm her husband or our daughter is her daughter. Donald John Trump has been invading, occupying, and violating our home since September of 2013. We were evicted from our home in St. Catharines to 51 Scott Street. We lived for 6 years until the fall of 2019, where we were unjustly and unfairly evicted from our home and pushed out onto the streets in St. Catharines, where we have been living as a homeless family briefly in St. Catharines in a shelter called Southern Shelter for about a month or two, staying also in this shelter, overnight shelter programs for about a month in St. Catharines, and moved from St. Catharines to Niagara Falls because in Niagara Falls I knew that accommodations for motels were more available in St. Catharines, in Niagara Falls, Ontario, than in St. Catharines. So we've been living since November 2019 in 12 different temporary facilities, 10 motels and 2 hotels, one Ramada Inn, another one, this one here, Travelodge Bonaventure, where it's identified as a casual hotel because it's run down, but it's built in such a beautiful manner, well thought out. We're living in one of the outside rooms, balconies. Ones who built this hotel had insights and thoughts, and they were careful. They built trees, put trees in front of the outside rooms, 4 or 5 trees, standing ones. And there's a pool that hasn't been used in about 2 years. We've been living in this casual hotel for 22 consecutive months. Every single day that we've been living here, Donald Jerk Chump, according to that, rightfully so, has been terrorizing the avatar, attacking her body from the inside, causing her a great deal of pain. He pulls her joints, he shakes her body to loosen the muscles. He continually torments and terrorizes the being who's known as the Great Goddess by the members of the coalition of goddesses and gods, who are also the beings who govern existence. There are tens of billions of male gods and trillions of goddesses or female gods who make up the coalition of goddesses and gods. And um, I did not want to identify myself as a member of the coalition of gods or goddesses because I wanted to have the avatar be showcased, to take the lead, since on this planet, men and patriarchy and paternalism and machoism and all the masculine energy and egos have been dominating, oppressing, dividing, controlling, desecrating the lives, livelihoods, hopes, and dreams of the human race over the ages, especially when every single time, as the Avatar says in the Song of Planet Undeceased, when the age of mankind reigns across this planet, different groups of different groups that are controlled by they call themselves the gatekeepers of different civilizations, who are almost always men, and mostly men from dominant cultures, who have decided that they have the authority, the might, and they have the support to decide who will be allowed in and left out of different walks of life, stations in life, based on their gender, their skin color, their age, their race, their religions, and all the other external differences that human beings have been using to identify, to define, to divide, and to undermine the family of the human family living on this planet today. This technology being used to attack the avatar daily and nightly, it's one that has been used, as I mentioned, in the post attached to this reading, to this posting, has been used since November of 2020 by a squadron of American agents who have been moving through the fourth dimension unseen, looking like shadows, and attacking the bodies of hundreds of millions of human beings living inside the 200 plus nations across the outer surface of the sacred, ancient, living, bountiful body of Lady Gaia. And to date, they've infected the bodies of over 618 million human beings with something from this weapon that is used to poison the mucus inside the human body, creating what scientists have unfortunately and unknowingly call a virus. It's not a virus that's been attacking the human race, my human brothers and sisters. It is a disease created with this stolen, sacred, futuristic technology that causes the body to become ill and causes the body to even die after a period of time. To date, about 6.5 million human beings have lost their million immortals have lost their human life due to the attacks being done to their bodies from the fourth dimension by those criminals who have been using this technology that divine beings like the archangel Michael, for example, points out that COVID is a manufactured disease. It's not actually a hoax, as many people have been saying. The disease is real, but it's not a virus that is being attacking, infecting, and killing many spiritual immortals living as members of the human race today. So Donald J. Trump comes into your home unseen and he steals anything he wants to. The avatars clothes, makeup, shoes, money, and he comes and goes like a flash. And even when the abbot every day, what he's done to this family, my human beloved spiritual immortals, not only has he terrorized this family for about 4 decades and more, but he has forced us to live in a state of continuous crisis, duress, stress, trauma, and continuous sleep deprivation. And because the government pushed us out of the workplace in the early 90s, after we staged a street protest in Toronto Street as a homeless family in 1990 by living in our 1982 Subaru with our 2 children and our dog Sheba on the Toronto street inside City Hall next to Winston Churchill statue in a car for a week. And then we went onto the streets of Toronto after the mayor of Toronto at the time, Mr. Art Eglinton, did not raise our issues in his council as one of his advisors told us that he would do. And we agreed that we would leave the grounds of New City Hall in the summer of 1990 so that they can bring the issues that we brought to them about the injustices and poverty that we and other people of color were being subjected to living in the nation known as Canada. So my family has been terrorized for decades. We have no friends. We have no families we're connected to. My mother is there. My sister is there. My brother in their own world. I have 2 sisters and 1 brother. On my father's side, apparently a dozen family members. But back to the issue. This technology being used today by Donald Trump, it's one of the most highly classified technology in the possession of the American military. And Donald Trump can use this technology to enter any place or space and take anything that he chooses to take from that space, book, documents, anything, not heavy things, anything weight that he can carry. And he can remove things from any place or space, locked up or not, unseen, and bring it to wherever he wants to keep it in his country home in Mar-a-Lago or any place he chooses to do so. We This family, they've been forced to live in a state of economic poverty as social outcasts and political prisoners for over 4 long, painful, agonizing decades. But we're a family of three, two goddesses, the great goddess, my wife, Galextra, our daughter, Princess Mahogany, another goddess, and myself, Commander and Dragon. I prefer to be called a commander instead of a god because human beings have issues when gods or goddesses come amongst them and they're identified by their title or by their stature. They're targeted by the gatekeepers of different cultures, men who've decided that they have a right to use their wealth, their political dominance, their social influence, the different means and methods that they use to put human beings in a state where they live, forced to live as financial slaves, religious puppets, political prisoners, and forced to live in a world where they are told to see themselves as only mortals who come here once and then they're gone to prison or paradise or to purgatory, or if they're living on the eastern part of the planet, members of the Buddhist faith or the Hindu faith, they're told that they do live again and again. They come back to human life and they live each lifetime until they have removed debts, old and wrongs done, so that they can evolve and grow into what the Avatar Galextra calls beings who become the owners of their lives, beings who are able to merge the intelligence of their mind with the wisdom of the heart so that they can then express and experience life as conscious, thoughtful, respectful, caring daughters and sons of goddesses and gods, along with the other members of the different communities of life living across the ancient, sacred, living, bountiful, beautiful, planet-sized body of Mother Earth, Lady Gaia. So, this broadcast is part of the Liberating Truths movement that we're bringing to human beings because the human race has reached a point in their development and in their journey as mortal beings where they now have to evolve and grow and expand their thinking, broaden their consciousness to be able to reconnect with their true identity as daughters and sons of gods and goddesses, and to reclaim the vast wealth of spiritual knowledge and abilities that have been gifted to them by the great goddess, and to all members of life, whatever form they happen to be expressing or experiencing themselves as members of. Donald John Trump is currently he represents the most immediate and serious existential threat to the national security of the American Republic and the safety and well-being of the American people. He continues to come into our home every day and night. We've called the police departments in St. Catharines The avatar made hundreds of phone calls from a home in St. Catharines to the St. Catharines Police Department, complaining about crimes being committed against herself and our daughter by Donald John Trump. And dozens of officers came to her home in St. Catharines, and they left each time saying that they cannot help us because they cannot see the criminal that we have identified as Donald John Trump. And they leave. Donald Trump terrorized our daughter. I'll leave that information for another episode because I don't want to make this too long, because I know that you've been taught to have attention spans that are not very long, and you are living in a world where you are moving at a fast pace with distractions and attractions of different kinds, and with your egos being stroked and caressed or undermined and disrespected by those you interact with. And so, as members of the human family, you're currently living in a world where you're lost because you're being disconnected intentionally from your divine heritage. You're being disconnected from Mother Gaia, from the three people who give you the oxygen that you and all mortal tenants of Mother Gaia to breathe and sustain their mortal bodies. You've been disconnected from your connection with those departed human beings who return home at the end of each of their mortal lifetime. And they stay in the spiritual realms, which is the true home of all beings, of all life forms, except for the insects and those beings created from the minds of human beings a long time ago. You've been disconnected from each other, from your own identity as eternal beings of living light, as the Avatar teaches, wearing mortal clothes of flesh and bones that you put on at birth to walk the face of the earth, one lifetime at a time. My family sleeps, the Avatar is resting, our daughter as well. We're living in one room. They call it a suite. It's a hotel room. We love the view because in the mornings, the animal beings, the birds, they come in the trees, the standing ones, and they sing and they speak and they bless us with their energy and with their warmth and with their conversations. And then the central sun, whose name is Sol, the central sun that rises in the east and sets in the west, he comes and he shines his radiance and his nourishing energy across the landmass of Lady Gaia. And we love to see the central sun each morning when he rises up and sets and then just energizes and invigorates and nourishes all of life, all mortal forms of life. The central sun. So that's part of what he does. My human brothers and sisters, you are living a life that is not your own choosing. And those who have made themselves the gatekeepers of your civilizations, with your blessings or without it, they've intentionally and deliberately misinformed, misguide, and mislead you into seeing yourselves as mere mortals with no future, seeing yourselves as insignificant beings who are fallen from grace and who are living in sin and in iniquity and who cannot be rescued because unless a God of one's name comes and rescues them after you give that God your life to run and control for you and hopefully get a passage to his paradise at the end of your mortal life. My job as a messenger for and from the committee of goddesses and gods, coalition of goddesses and gods, is to provide you with messages from different civilizations living across the outer surface of Lady Gaia, the tree beings, the standing ones, the animal beings, the bird beings, the elemental beings, wind, water, fire, spirit. These are living beings, children of Lady Gaia, and the thunder beings who roll the thunders at different times. They want you to reconnect with your true identity. Part of what you've lost is your ability to speak to each other telepathically, or to speak to the other members of life, the animal beings, the tree beings, the rock beings, the crystal beings. As the Avatar teaches, all of creation is alive, and all life forms and creations are living beings, whether they're rocks, dirt, water, plant, birds, solar systems, galaxies, living beings. It's time for you to reconnect with your true identity so that you can spread your wings spiritually and soar. As the Avatar teaches, when you start to come to understand, my fellow mortals, that you are each immortals, beings of living light, as she calls you, when mortal clothes of flesh and bones that you put on at birth to walk the face of the earth one life at a time, then you will start to expand your consciousness and elevate your thinking. And once you start to know and feel intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, intuitively, that you are immortals, spiritual immortals, you will then start to recognize that you have nothing to lose, fellow mortals, and everything to gain. When you get to that point, as the Avatar teaches, you will each recognize that you are spiritual immortals. Thank you for listening to this podcast. If you like what you hear, then I ask you to press the like button and to circulate this video around the social media platform. And we invite you, each of you, as the Avatar teaches, to make your life a living prayer in everything that you say and do. And you will find, my fellow beloved immortals, that showers of blessings will pour upon you and upon your loved ones for the end of your mortal days and beyond. This is Commander and Dragon for my beloved, beautiful, radiant wife, Avatar Galextra, who is currently in a state where she does not have full control of her own conscious mind because she has been traumatized by Donald John Trump, and it continues to come here every day and night as if, and he knows that the police can't do a thing to stop him. The only ones who can stop him from committing these crimes against us or stopping those squadrons of American agents who are going around unseen, flashing in and out of the fourth dimension, attacking your bodies with a disease that the scientists have misidentified as COVID because of their confirmation bias. You will start to understand, my fellow mortals, as you each start to reconnect with yourself, with each other, with Lady Gaia, with the other beings, the standing ones, the tree people, the plant beings, the animal beings, bird beings, beings beings, all living beings, all are children of goddesses and gods. Whatever their formation, whatever their forms, and they express and experience life in their own unique, beautiful, magical, refreshing ways. So, my fellow mortals, this is Commander Andragon, wishing each of you a good day. And this broadcast, if you like what you hear, I invite you, as I said, to click the like button and to circulate this material. The Liberation Truths movement is a movement whose time has come because the war, the attack on the truth, it's time for that to end so that you can each start to embrace a full identity, masculine, feminine, your higher self, your greater self, and live the way that you were brought into existence and into being to live by the great goddess. Blessings to each of you. Thank you for listening. Have a good day and goodbye.